Hey everybody, Nick here, and today we're going to do some disassembly and maintenance on this little guy right here. This is the QSP Penguin in titanium. Interesting little knife. Out of the box, it's running very well. There is no play. Centering is pretty much dead on, maybe slightly favoring show. Otherwise, good action, everything's running good, so let's take this guy apart. Hopefully we're not going to be thread locked shut here, and if we are, we're going to adjust course very quickly. Nope, we are good to go here. And the pivot does not appear to be free spinning, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm also going to, I haven't got the pivot all the way out yet, but I also want to check these back screws a little bit. Oh, beautiful. This is going to be easy freaking peasy. Excellent. So this is, I've reviewed the Penguin before, but this is kind of a whole new iteration of it. With instead of G10, this is full-on titanium. And instead of, I forget what the original steel was, I think D2, we're looking at 154 cm here. And so just rounds of upgrades all around. And it makes the knife very, very different when it's titanium versus when it's just G10, right? A little more unique, a little more different. So there we go. Taking this guy apart, what we see here is little tiny bearings. There is a stainless steel washer that the bearings run on. There is an over-travel stop and a lock bar insert here. Honestly, construction-wise, and let's see how it's not free spinning. Oh, it looks like... How the hell is this not free spinning? Oh, okay, there's a D shape on this side. Yeah, so the pivot is shaped such that it won't rotate on this scale here, which is a little weird. Means it's going to be a bit of a pain in the neck to reinstall. I need to make sure that the D shape of the pivot is facing out toward the front of the knife as I put things back together. But aside from that, things seem to be doing okay here. So let's go ahead and take this guy apart and, well, it did that. Clean this guy up. Honestly, the construction on this is quite featureful. It's a weird thing to say, but like this has all of the things you would want. The big question for me right now is the price. I don't yet know the price, and that's by design. I try not to learn the price of a piece of gear until I've carried it, I've used it, and I'm sitting down to write the review. Because oftentimes learning that toward the last minute will really show me what I feel about the price. This would be a very different knife if they were charging, you know, $50 for it than if we were charging $80 for it, than if we were charging $100 for it, right? Those are going to be different affairs. And so I very much, I'm curious about that a little bit, but so far, it's kind of crazy to see in what I'm presuming to be a very budgety sort of knife because, well, QSP is a brand that has really aimed hard at the budget in the past. I'm seeing these kinds of features. The washers here, the lock bar insert, the over-travel stop. For a while, that was not those were not cheap features, right? Those were higher-end piece things. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of a reminder of how far we've come in the knife manufacture game. And I don't, by the way, mean we there as a knife manufacturer, but I mean as a culture, as a community. Things have gotten, there have been a lot of improvements, even at the lower end of things. So I do appreciate that. It would have been very easy for them to cheap out on this, but they don't appear to have. So that's great to me. But anyways, let's go on ahead and put the pivot back in place. There's a little gunktion down here. I don't actually think that's affecting anything, but I am just going to come in here and pull it out. Oh, and I should also clean the inside of the blade hole there. Beautiful. All right, so let's put this guy back together. I'm going to use some 10-weight nano oil. And by the way, if you're curious about this or any of the other tools I'm using on my disassemblies, go on ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools, and you will see a list of every damn thing I use. Go ahead and stick that through. And I'm going to make a concerted effort to keep this D-shaped portion facing the front of the knife, because that will make things easier as I'm putting everything else back together. So I do that. Oh, probably should put a bearing in there. Just thinking aloud, right? Put that in there. I've already lubricated the bearing race. Use my little watch spring bar tool to rotate the bearing a little bit. Spread that around. Beautiful. And drop this in here. Next thing, I'm going to lubricate the detent ball hole here, and that'll spread the lubricant over the detent ball path. Put a little bit right here in the bearing race. That way that can spread around. I'm using some 10-weight nano oil. I think I said that already, but whatever. And Anything else I need to do here? No. I want to confirm again. Yeah, D-shape is facing the front. Good. And I'll actually kind of use this scale to make sure that the D-shape is in position. Now, what I just did there is very important, right? I clicked everything together, and then I lifted the lock bar. What you're going to see, actually, is that when I release the lock bar... Oh, now you don't freaking do it. But either way, if I just set this guy on there without the lock bar in place, there you go. See, the blade doesn't seat properly because the lock bar needs to be pressing against the root of the blade here, against the bottom of the blade. So, yeah, if I don't have that in there, that's not going to go well. Use a little bit of Loctite here, using the blue stuff on a stick. Grab my T8 driver. By the way, it is a... could that be T10? God, that almost feels like T9. Either way, a T8 driver is working it. I'm going to use some Loctite on a stick here to keep everything from backing out again. Again, I'm going to lift up this lock bar here. And I believe I am free spinning. Yeah. So at this point in time, I have pressed this bottom part out. And so now the pivot is free spinning. So my solution to this is actually going to be I'm applying pressure from the back of the knife at the same time I'm rotating it, with the goal that when I hit the right angle of rotation, I will be able to push that D shape. Everything should snap in. Is that the case? Am I in position here? Whoa there. And that will allow everything to work. No, that ain't it. Come on. Kind of pression. Wow, it's like Prussian, but there we go. I'm in. Okay, beautiful. So the reason I say I'm in is not only that this is now oriented properly, but also that I felt everything like this became flush suddenly. So just kind of keep rotating here. Beautiful. Trying not to over-torque it at this point, but just kind of getting it in there. That is the problem, by the way, with doing the D-shape on this scale rather than on this one. If you had it on this scale, then I'd be able to insert the pivot, and it would by definition be in the proper position when I put the blade on there, as opposed to on this scale where it can rotate if this scale is just far enough away that it doesn't engage with the pivot yet. Not the end of the world, but that would be an easy land for improvement, so to speak. A land for improvement. Sounds like a land of opportunity. Anyways, I digress. So let's go on ahead and put these in place. Once these back screws are in place, then I can fully tighten my pivot, which is currently not fully tightened, which is the reason that the centering is way off. You'll always notice, by the way, that if you're trying to adjust the centering on a knife, if the pivot is too loose, then the lock bar is going to press on it in the direction of the lock bar pressure, and it's going to favor that side. So one way to adjust the pivot, actually here, I'll see if I can demonstrate this on camera. Hopefully you're going to see the blade as I tighten this up. Yeah, it just sent it up, right? Okay, feels... Actually, that feels great. That's beautiful. Actually, the action just got a lot better. A little bit of lubrication seems to have gone a long way. We are pretty much dead centered. Maybe this time slightly favoring the clip side, which means I might be able to back the pivot off very slightly. Now we're right dead centered. It's a little bit freer action. That's a good action, honestly. I mean, seriously, this is a titanium frame lock in 154 cm, and I'm assuming the price on this is going to be the big question, right? At some level, this action, there's a lot to love about this guy. This is well done. I'm impressed by that. So, anyways, but we are now completed. Everything is put back together. Life is good, and so, yeah, hope this has been interesting to you. Keep an eye out for the full review coming up here soon. Have a good one. Bye now.